Recording has started. Perfect. So Telnet basically is remote access. Now, what do we mean by remote access? Basically, the router, what we see, like if you open Cisco Packet Tracer. Okay, let me see if I still remember my credentials. IEEE.org. Remember me. Okay. No idea why the system is slow. Okay, I'll close it and open it again. Remember, login. Okay, next. Okay, password. Okay, let's hope it works. Set up your password and it will not the best. Whatever. All right. Yeah, so when you add a router, if you guys remember, so we'll go to network devices, routers, and it's 2911. So what we open here, first think about it. The router, think about the actual router that you have at home. It's just a box. It doesn't have a screen. It doesn't have a keyboard to write. So when you click here, that's again a simulation tool. It provides us with things that are not available directly to the router. Like for example, the command line prompt, the command line interface, how to program it. Basically, the network admin or the network engineer will bring his laptop and connect it to the router through the process called Telnet. So basically, the network engineer will have, let's say, his own computer, his own terminal opened here. And let's assume that there is another router here, and that's the one he wants to access or to program. So you are here, that's the network admin, and this is the router of interest. But let's try it with 3 routers. Again, to repeat the idea, repeat the concept to make sure you guys get the idea. So basically you want to access a router from another device. And here the other device is another router. That's what Telnet is just remote access. All right, so in every lab we'll start with the setup. So we have these 3 routers. Each router is connected through the port with a given IP address. So I'll do that through the graphical user interface just to save time. So the first router, let me draw it the way it looks in the slides. So the first router, I'll go to the config. So host name is R1234A, and this is the display name R1234A. Now notice once I click here, this one will change. All right, so I want to set up the IP address. The IP address in my slides, I'm connecting to gigabit Ethernet 00. Yeah, I'll share the document in a few minutes, inshallah, once I'm done with this slide. Gigabit Ethernet 00, this is the IP address 192.168.110. So I'm going to directly copy, switch the port on, and that's it. So that's the first router. It's where the display name, yeah, display name has changed. Now, let's do the connections. Since we have similar devices, so we're gonna go with copper crossover. So gigabit Ethernet 00 to gigabit Ethernet 00 and gigabit Ethernet 01 to gigabit Ethernet 01. That's what I have in my document. Now, did I switch the port on? Yeah. All right, so we'll do the other router. Config R1234B. That's the display. That's the host name 1234B. And I have two ports to set up. So I have this one, the first one, that's gigabit Ethernet 00. And switch on, and gigabit Ethernet 01, that's the IP address. Again, that's not the standard way to do it, but this is what basically we did in lab 3. So just to save time, I'm using the graphical user interface, but you are recommended to do through the command line interface, at least for the exam. All right, so done with the second router. So let's see here. Now I have the both triangles are pointing up with the green color. That means the connection is established here. All right, so the last router here, 192.168.20C. Okay, config R1234C, R1234C. And gigabit Ethernet 01. And there we go. So let me see. I think I need to set up also RIP. Let me check. Here it's saying configure static routes, but it's not mandatory. You can do it with RIP. RIP also, the good thing about it, you can do it through the graphical user interface. So we'll go here. See here, routing, RIP. And basically, you put the network address for each router. This one is 192.168.100. And remember, network address, 0. So that is router A. Router B has two networks. So 192.168.100.0. That's the first one. And we have 192.168.200.0. Now, where did I get the information? Remember, network address is basically the same IP address, but without the host number. So I'll go here. The first router has this IP address. So I will take the 192.168.100, and instead of 10, I'll put 0. It's a network address. That's for the first router. Second router, 192.168.100, 0. 192.168.200, 0. Third router, 192.168.200, 0. So we'll go and check the third router, RIP 192.168.200, 0. Okay, I have a typo here. Good. All right, so let's check connectivity. So I'll check with the ping. Disable ping 192.168.220. It worked. As long, again, it's not 0 value, it should be fine. So up till now, we did not do anything new. We basically set up a network. We gave an IP address for each port. And we set up RIP all in the graphical user interface just for time saving. It took us about probably 7 to 10 minutes. Yeah, definitely, and the command line interface will take longer time. Now, how to set up Telnet? So the setup is easy. It just, see, I highlighted the important text here. So for router A, you are in the configuration mode. So in the exam, if you want to do the full answer, so you'll go with R1234A, and this one's gonna be enable, okay, or lowercase enable, okay, and R1234A, okay, 1234A, config T, and this one has to be the hash sign, config T, and you are here in the configuration mode. Then this is the actual syntax for the setting up Telnet. So line VTY04, just remember it as it is. The like the setup or why it's 04 is beyond the scope of the course. So let's stick with line VTY04. Login, that's initially, and it'll tell you that there is no password. You have to do the password here. Now I'll tell you why they need it. It's remote access. So just a measurement of security. We give a password for the, let's say, the device you want to access, and that's Telnet password. That's not a device password. All right, so let's try it line by line. So let's check with first router A. So again, enable, config T. All right, now line VTY0 space 4. All right, so here you're saying config line. Now here this login is optional. Basically, it's going to ask you that there is no password. You need to set up a password. So there you go, login. So the password is not set. And here you put the password. Again, this is not a device password. This is a remote access password. So password. And here I'll stick with what I have in my document. So Telnet RA, where RA are uppercase. And that's it. So end or exit, just to go back, and disable. All right, so we did it for router A. Let's do the same for router B. CLI, and okay, I'm already in the privilege mode. Config T, line VTY0 space 4. Login, just to say that there is no password. Password Telnet RB. And that's it. And go back to the privilege mode. Same thing here. And I'm in the privilege mode. Config T, line VTY0 space 4. Login. Password is Telnet RC. All right, so we are done. This is it. That's the lab. And again, I highlighted the part in the document that is important. Actually, this exit is optional. You don't need it. And this is doing it from scratch. So in the exam, it is highly expected in the final exam, set up Telnet access for a certain router, and it just exactly copy paste these pieces of code, and they'll give you what password you require. All right, so how to test it? Basically, you go here. I'm in this router, and let's assume I want to access router C. Now let's here focus here. It's the host name is R1234A. This is the host. Okay, who wants to access? All right, yeah, please, for everybody, if you see someone who wants to access the room, just admit him, please. All right. All right, so the command is telnet, and you pick your destination. So this is my destination. And the destination is basically the IP address, 192.168.220. And it asks you about the password. What password? I'm trying to access router C. So I want the password for router C. The password was Telnet RC. This one.
Victor, what do
This is
you
the one
mean?
I put. Telnet, I want to access, let's say I want to access remotely access a router. So I'm router A, I want to get access to router C. That's it. Telnet, I want to get a remote access. You get it?
Yes.
Okay. So here I'm getting a timeout because I did not put the password yet. So let me try it again. Telnet 192.168 220. It's waiting for the password, and the password I put it Telnet RC. Now everybody will be asking, you did not do nothing. It just, again, it's a type of security. It doesn't show the length of the password. Usually we are used to see asterisks or stars, but here it doesn't want to show the length of the password. I typed it, enter, and notice what happened. I'm in router A. This is the window for router A. There you go. Now here, you see what? This is router C. Now I can control router C. I can set up a new IP address for a new port. I can set up dynamic routing protocols using the command line. So basically, I'm in router C. I can do whatever in router C. So let's try ping 192.168.210. So I want from router C to ping router B. Okay, and let's see. It passed. Let's try it over the simulation mode, if you guys remember. Simulation mode will show things a bit, let's say, detailed and slowly. Okay, ping. Oops. Okay, real-time mode. Let's go back here. Ping 192.168.210. Okay, simulation. Go back here. Enter. Now let's play it. Okay, so this one, I think that's the Telnet. It's not even processing this command. I don't know why simulation is not behaving the way it used to be. But anyways, it's not of importance. That's what's important here, that we are accessing this router. Okay, translating. Okay, so we have to wait here because I put a wrong command. Okay, now let's try from router C. I want to access router B. And I want to go into the privilege mode and see what will happen. So again, Telnet 192.168.210. Okay, the password is Telnet RB. All right, so let's say if I want to put enable to access the privilege mode, it will surprise you by saying that, hey, you did not set up the password for router B. Now, this password, the one I put here, this is the password for remote access. Now, remember at the first lab, we saw how to set up a password for the router. Now, let's try it here. So go here, privilege mode, config T, enable password, and I'll pick the password to be 12345. All right, so I set up a password for the privilege mode. Now, if I want, let's say, exit, disable. Now, if I want to put enable, it will ask for the password to access the privilege mode 12345, and I'm here, and I'm in the privilege mode. So let's go back into C. Okay, I am in router B. Let's exit. I'm back to be regularly in router C. Disable to be in the user mode. Now in Telnet 192.168.210. The password for Telnet is Telnet RB. Now I'm in router B. So though I'm in router C, but I'm controlling router B. Now I'll put enable to access the privilege mode. Enable. Now I'll put the new password 19235, and there you go. Now let's say I want to set up an IP address for port gigabit Ethernet 02. Let's see if it will work. Probably not, but let's give it a try. So enable config T. Now interface gigabit Ethernet 02. So int g 0/2. Now I'm controlling or configuring port gigabit Ethernet 02. Now the command was IP address 192.168.250, and the subnet mask 255.255.255.0. And what is the command to switch on the port? No shut down. All right. Incorrect IP address assignment. No shutdown. Overlaps with gigabit Ethernet 01. Oh, saying that it's the similar or a different network. So let's go try it with a different IP address then. Not 200, 150. Okay, no shutdown. All right. So no issues here. Now let's see, did it do the configuration or not? No shutdown. So I'll go here, config, and gigabit Ethernet 02. There you go. This one was not previously configured. I just did the configuration through remote access. And that's it. So imagine this is the network admin with his computer with all the capabilities of text entry and display and stuff. And he connect the wire, the cable to this router to do Telnet, to do remote access, to do programming. And this is how it goes. All right, so that's it about Telnet. Let me know if you guys have any questions about it. So I'm gonna stop the sharing for this one and probably will take about 5 minutes break to do the other one with access control lists. So record, stop recording. Any questions before I stop the recording? So to keep the records there. Okay, no questions, so stop the recording.